There we go.
The FPL Good Guys.
There's going to be an awkward pause at the start there, but that's fine. Right, welcome back, ladies and gents, to the FPL Good Guys podcast ahead of Gameweek 11. It's a bit of an interesting week because we're sort of in anticipation of the game week 12 Man City and Arsenal blanks. So a lot of transfers that everyone's making are going to be based on that. So yeah, we'll discuss all of that as well as some other fun things across the next hour or so. So BV and Dan, how are you both doing? Okay.
I'd say terrific, but that's a little over exaggeration. In reality, it's more of an okay, I guess. How are you doing, BV?
Yeah, I'm doing sound. University started for me. I'm the student amongst us.
You do look a little bit like you're at a primary school.
Oh yeah. I'm actually at university now. I won't disclaim its location. But yeah, I'm here. I'm doing well. Just had my tea.
I haven't had my tea yet.
Yep, I've got a nice little spa meat and potato pie I'm eating out of a mug.
Out of a mug? Why are you eating out of a mug?
With a teaspoon. This is the only cutlery I could find.
Nice. Right. So should we start with our punts of the week from last week, or are we going to go?
Yeah. Let's look.
Or instead, are we going to discuss the topics first and then come back to the game week punts? I forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah. What would we rather do? Or we could. How about we look at how our punts did?
Yeah, I want to see.
Then we chat. Then we come back and pick our new punts.
Definitely not because of the reason, because BV doesn't know what the fuck he's picking.
I'll admit it, guys.
I'm sharing my screen, hopefully.
Yeah.
So here are our picks from last week. So BV with Skamaka, I'm pretty sure he scored, didn't he?
He did. I do have to warn you guys. So I can't see Joe's screen. So just carry on. But obviously, do
you know what I was going to say? I was going to say, to be fair, that works out well for the audio listeners, but the audio listeners got ditched at the game week.
Yeah. So just describe it for the audio listeners, aka me.
So the three picks that we went for last week, we've got BV who went for Gianluca Scamacca, who got a goal. Can you guys look how many points he got, please?
Okay.
I went for Wilfred Zaha, who underperformed, to be honest, and only got 5 points against Leeds. Leeds Christensen at right back just stuck to Zaha like glue, and he barely did anything for the whole game. Apart from some parts in the second half where he threatened to cut inside and have a go, but they were blocked quite easily. So to be honest, he was lucky to get away with a 5-pointer assist from that game, but a lot of people expecting a lot more from him.
Scamacca got 9 points.
Yes.
And then we got Jared Bowen from Dan, who he did things as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he got a goal. Oh, only 7 points.
So,
and what I like about that is the fact that I gave Dan Bowen. I really was the Bowen boy.
Oh, Scamacca, yeah, that's a big result, to be fair. Me with Zaha and Dan with Bowen. Yeah, Scamacca. That's nice. Well done.
Nice. Go on.
How do I fill a box? There we go. I've done it, guys. Don't worry, we're fine.
Have you filled it with the correct colour?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. Is that the correct colour?
It looks right. I can do this later. This doesn't have to be what the viewers watch.
Let's watch Joe fill a hole.
Yeah, we'll just leave that to come back to it. So, Joe, do you want to stop sharing the screen?
Has it added up the overall points, including those scores?
Oh, no. I mean, BV's won the week with the 9 points, so he's up to 34. So BV takes the lead on overall score. BV on 34.
No, he doesn't. I'm on 36.
Dan, you're on 29.
No, but you've got to add on the 7.
No, we're only taking the most. So my 18 and 5 were added to make the 23 at the top.
Yeah, because of fucking BV's rule,
Yeah, we're only counting.
Well, your total points are at the bottom of the spreadsheet, aren't they? What's the total points then? What are we all on in total?
Okay, come on. Dan is on 58.99.
Oh, that's
I'm on 46, and BV, you are on 45. However, interestingly, BV, you've won the most individual weeks. So you've won 4 weeks, but yet you're in last place overall. If you had everything else.
Whereas I'm on overall points. I'm the fucking man.
Anyway, I will stop sharing my screen now, and we can talk about this week's events. Oh, I nearly clicked stop recording then. All right. So what's the big news then? What's the big stuff of this week? Reece James's injury is what springs to mind personally for me.
Okay,
Dean Henderson conceded a goal he should have saved.
Well, I don't give a shit.
Okay, so that's Dan's big thing. Dan's, but yeah. We're going round, Joe. Your big thing's Reece James.
Yeah.
Dan's big thing is Dean Henderson.
No one owns him. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, but the fact he's conceded 10 goals from an XG of 0.6 from these outside the box shots, I'd say is quite big news, in the fact that it lost a clean sheet. And I'd say it's answering the question you asked me.
Unfortunately,
I actually have good content to add to that. But anyway, we'll come back to that when Dan's segment comes up. My thing that I care about this week is planning for the blank.
Nice. Yeah, right.
Should we start?
As well.
Where should we start?
Go on, let's get Dan's out of the way first.
Oh, what are we doing back to this? Because last time we did a little team by team. We can do me, I guess. Sure, do me. Why not?
We're talking about your Henderson thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes so much more sense. Essentially, just he's underperforming now because he was overperforming. I mean, because I saw the stat on One Football that he's conceded from these outside the box shots. He's making a real habit. He's conceded 10 goals from an XG of 0.6. That is diabolical. There was only 2 shots on target Villa actually made, and he lets in a fucking screamer. I mean, I guess that's why it's screamer.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'd be worth, eye testing each of those outside the box goals and thinking, did he realistically have a chance? Like that Ashley Young one, I wouldn't blame Dean Henderson for that. It was a lovely goal. Whether
this is the thing.
Sorry, go on.
This is the thing. I can give you those stats. So basically, the original tweet came from The Athletic. So The Athletic posted the tweet that Dean Henderson has conceded 10 goals from outside the box from a combined XG of 0.6. Which is obviously poor. So that's saying that he underperformed by 9.4 XG. But as a data analyst, that is completely inaccurate. And I'll tell you why. Because John Harrison, an actual data analyst, has done a thread on it. And he says that it doesn't take into account saves from a post-shot XG. So when you look at those shots after they've taken and the post-shot XG, they actually combined for 6.81 in XG.
What do you mean a post-shot XG?
So it basically takes into it's a more accurate way of looking at XG because it takes into account what's actually happened post the shot. So XG takes it pre-shot.
So how good the strike is.
Yeah, basically.
So XG takes into account strike and position. Post-shot takes into account like the speed and where it's going.
Yeah. So essentially, yeah. So
where it landed in the goal.
Just standard XG is a measure for how good the striker is, whereas the post-shot XG is a measure of how good the goalkeeper is. I think, if I'm understanding that correctly. So if the XG is high, like for the striker, and they don't score, then that's bad for the striker. But it's not necessarily like saying that the keeper was good or whatever. Whereas if the keeper fails to save the one with quite a low post-shot XG, then that's his bad. Like he really should be saving that essentially. I think.
Yeah. Right. But the thing is, Dean Henderson is playing Wolves next week, and a Wolves team which I'm just going to drag out the rate at which I'm saying what I'm currently saying while I get up the Premier League table. Wolves have only scored 3 goals all season. I just wanted to double check that. So if they don't keep a clean sheet next week when they're due one, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, Wolves have got to score against someone, and I think if it's going to be anyone, Forest are very good candidates.
I feel like you've preached target Forest, which it makes sense, but still, it doesn't mean that.
Forest just concede goals. That's just
Yeah,
what
but
we do.
everyone keeps clean sheets sometimes. That reminds how they say, we can all help sometimes. I don't know.
Sorry, I disconnected there.
You've
I
moved.
don't know what happened. Yeah, I had to get to a plug socket. I thought my laptop had died, but it was on 55%, so I just technical difficulties occurred. Anyway, we'll go back to John Harrison's thread. So he basically says that it would be. So the claim is that Dean Henderson's cost Nottingham Forest 9 goals from outside the box, basically. But that's a complete lie. He's actually just cost them 2 goals, which were Gray's goal, Damari Gray's goal, which he probably should have saved, and Billings' goal, which he probably should have saved. So, yeah, that's basically the conclusion. So to say that Dean Henderson has been terrible is a lie. He's actually been okay, but with 2 costly mistakes.
Did you not say his post shot XG was like 6.81?
Yep, and he's conceded 9 goals. So it's basically 7, and he's conceded 9 goals.
Yeah, fair play.
And when you actually look at those goals from the eye test perspective, it's Damari Gray and Billings' goals, which are pretty poor to concede. But yeah.
So there you go, Dan. Do not fear. Dean Henderson is doing well.
Oh, well, I mean, the thing is, it's not like I can do anything about it anyway. Only morons really get rid of their keeper, because we all keep clean sheets sometimes.
Talk to my keepers about that.
Yeah. Joe, for the viewers, Joe's awful at picking keepers. So if he says get a keeper, honestly, run. That's how you make your FPL panel sound credible.
Just don't listen to what I say. Only in regards to keepers, especially, because I just can't do it. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
What about point number 2, Joseph? Reece James, tell us about his injury.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's personally put me in a bit of a sticky spot, because I was already trying to navigate game week 12, sort of trying to take as little hits as possible whilst keeping some, City influence on my bench ready to come in for game week 13. And so Reece James being injured has really hampered plans, because he was very much someone I was planning on just riding through those weeks with. And so this injury that he's sustained in the Champions League, but it's looking at it so far, I mean, there's not that much information come out yet, but he hobbled it off. It didn't look good. And he's got a scan. I think it's either today or tomorrow we'll know the results of that scan. But if he's scanning it, it's probably not going to be within the next 2 game weeks, which is when I need him for.
What do you think about, because one idea I'm actually debating with, because, for example, Arsenal assets are good, City assets are good, they're playing well, they've got good fixtures coming up. What do you think about just not caring about it at all? Maybe even loading up on them and just free hitting? Because I'm toggling with the idea of a free hit game week 12 and not caring.
It's not a terrible idea, especially considering, I mean, they're the 2 best teams in the league at the moment, without a shadow of a doubt. And they've got really good fixtures after game week 12. So it's a good differential to be loaded up on them.
On a reel, the James injury actually might really help me. If it's a long-term injury, that actually kind of helps me with my transfer plans. Because my first transfer plan, which I really want to get in, which, will be fun, is basically means that I'm in 2 million debt. I need to free up 2 million from a different spot. And I was thinking of getting rid of Kane. Now, Kane is, overperforming, but Everton at home doesn't seem like the game to necessarily do it. 3 million's working out well. De Bruyne, I've actually decided I really want to keep De Bruyne. Like, I just don't want to let him go, because his XA is obviously, good. He's ticking along how he should be with assists. He's got the monster of Haaland bagging them in. And if anything, to be honest with De Bruyne, because he's been performing quite well, but he's actually drew a goal. Like, he's missed a handful of big chances this season in not score many. I don't know the exact specifics, but I was looking at it the other day. And
he usually overperforms his XG, but he's underperforming this time, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's actually due.
What is the transfer which is going to cost you 2 million, Dan? Can you explain that first?
I am seeing Gordon and his suspension. To be honest, Gordon's the fault of planning a wild card in 2 hours. He's not been doing great, so yeah, I think he's a sell, and he's suspended too. I want to bring in Mason Mount.
So I'm not going to question it because you're quite good at mid-price midfielder picking.
He is.
Why are you going for Mason Mount? Because there's not very much to back that up.
No, under Potter, his shots inside the box and his underlying statistics have improved massively. The fact that his couple assists in the last game week is actually backed up substantially by his underlinings. He's actually, and Mount has shown before, and like, for example, to the back end of last season, he was even doing it in the Champions League against Real Madrid. He's got quality. If these underlines picking up and he can become a key cog in Potter's system, I reckon it's still early enough where if I jump on now, there's legs in this bandwagon. He's got one haul, in which, okay, it can sometimes be knee-jerky getting on one haul, but the fact that the underlying statistics back it up, this new manager bounce and other factors, and with a game against Villa, which is really doable, and then the Brentford game after that, and especially considering that I feel like in my head, when a player usually hauls, because players will usually go in a purple patch of form, when they're feeling confident, it's all flowing and going well. There's usually, a couple good game weeks. Usually I feel like it's around 3 or something. I don't know, in my head, I've got an image of like 3 good game weeks is like a purple patch. He's had 1, and so it's at the start of the train. I'm jumping on the train. I'm buying my ticket. But it does mean that I'm 2 million in debt.
You've kind of sold me, to be fair.
Yeah, weirdly, that's the first time you've ever sold both of us.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's good. I mean, how exactly have his underlines improved? Is it XG and XA, or?
Yeah, I know 100% his shots in the box has definitely improved substantially. I actually saw it was actually a very good on the Scout, a very good article. No, I feel like with the Scout it's very hit and miss. It can pedal.
I thought you were gonna say FPL, mate.
No. It can pedal some. The Scout can be very hit and miss. It can say some shit which is really rogue, and sometimes it can throw up some stats which are genuinely worth looking at. The more I actually go on, the more I think to myself, I should have remembered the actual stats. Because you two talk amongst yourself about something. I'm just going to find something.
Okay. So Dan thinks that if this is a long-term injury for Reece James, that he'll sell Reece James down to a 4.0 million.
One, there's Patterson. He plays for Everton. He is currently injured, and it would be bench fodder. So it would mean dragging in. I'd have to between Shaw, Patterson, and fucking Forest Boy. I'd have to find an appropriate kind of ratchet amongst the few.
Wait, so are you sold on free hitting 12? Because if not, you're going to need someone that plays.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And now I think because he said he's back for 29th of October. Again, I haven't actually because I was
the maths isn't adding up there.
Can you not afford Gurhey at 4.3, for example?
No. I can afford 4.1 if I sell James. Because I was thinking of maybe selling Kane and going with Jesus and then free hitting. Alternatively, I could sell Kane and go Wilson and then probably not free hit. I don't want to sell De Bruyne.
Okay.
You can sell him and bring him back.
Yeah, but
exactly.
I feel like the free hit.
Free hit is not a good.
It would benefit you, but it'd benefit you better later. I imagine when you get big fat blanks where there's only 4 teams playing or something.
I would only free hit if I already had 5 or more players blanking in game week 12. I would not recommend bringing in players that are going to blank to then free hit in this scenario because it's just not needed. There's going to be bigger points gains down the line.
Yeah, it's a bit short-sighted. I think you're going to wish you manoeuvred this at a later date.
Well, no, it was only
An idea.
thought. It's not. It's an idea. It's not a.
Yeah. No,
my big
you
thing.
would.
My big thing I'm peddling is I am sold myself on. I want mounts for Gordon, but there's numerous avenues I can repay the debt. You know, I can sell
2 free transfers.
Yeah, I've got 2 tree transfers. I rolled last week.
So you could take a hit.
Yeah, but I don't really want to take a hit.
No,
I
but
could.
you take a hit so that you can take funds out of 2 positions rather than just 1 position, and you get
I
2 medium level players, like 2 4.3s, 2 4.4s, rather than a 5 miller and like Share Fabian Share is like 4.7 mil. Downgrade him to like a Gurhey and get like a Webster, and then your job done.
I like Webster. I'm thinking of going James to Webster.
Same here.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I've got the article on Mount. So on his improved form, it says here from the scout, crucially, Mount has significantly improved on his early season displays. He is producing 3 shots in the box per appearance for Potter, up from an average of 1 from Tuchel. Similarly, his chances created has risen from 1.3 to 3.5 per match under the new head coach. Those were the kind of statistics, and then it says some other things. So, you know, his numbers, both his chances created and his shots in the box have been boosted. And I guess I'm just...
Nice.
Just from the eye test yesterday, he won the penalty for Chelsea's goal, obviously, and he assisted the second one.
Damn.
So that would be a haul in
it probably also helps that the thing is, like, whereas Kane, even though I've actually got Kane and he's actually doing well for me, some plays I feel like can red herring me, whereas like they'll trick me. Like maybe it's the sort of play that gets good underlines but then spurns it. Like if Pulisic, for example, had good underlines or something, you know, he might not even play. Obviously, we're going back a bit because I'm talking like in the past, I've been tricked by him. It's like some players, for example, like some players I can count on, like whenever I brought in a Son and feel like it's right to bring in Son, he'll do well for me. Mount last time I actually felt like, oh, he would be good to bring in. He actually went on a real purple patch in form, and now I'm getting those same tingles in my stomach. So, which is why also one thing I'd like to say is that I'm not unhappy I made the decision, because we're comparing different price points, and my team, I've had a number of green arrows, so I'm in a good place. But Saka, I still have a love for Saka. You know, I still have a kind of connection with him, and I believed in what he could do. I've been a big admirer of Saka, and I still am. And he's doing really well. And it's like I felt that, you know, he did okay under me, and now he's flourished. You know, he
didn't do well under you. He did badly under you.
No, he did okay under me. He got like average nearly 5 points per game. That's okay. He got a number of returns. He just didn't get flashy returns. He got a few assists or something. Like he did okay. He just didn't do necessarily, you know, 8 million. He just didn't necessarily do 8 million's worth at a time when 6 million players were doing, you know, bits. He did okay in reality, but yeah, and he's flourishing. And it's like, I'm not upset that I sold him because it was on a wild card and I completely restructured my team. And I went to a threemium and all this and that. And my threemium's been doing well. But yeah, and essentially Mount also, he's... last time I backed him, he did well. This time I have the same feelings, but we'll see. But fingers crossed.
No, fair play. Decent. Joe, what are your transfer plans this week then? You hinted at Webster.
Yeah, I'll just wrap something up with Mount just quickly. Do you think there's any element of rotation risk in there? Because I know Sterling got benched last Premier League game, as did Reece James. Potter's shown that he's willing to rotate the big boys. Do we think Mount will be a staple? He is a bit of a manager's pet.
I feel like he could be a bit of a... especially with his upturn in like numbers, form, just the looks of it, I feel like he could be a bit of a manager's pet.
I think we'll see this weekend. I do think he will start this weekend because it's the difference with the last game and this game is that it was a Wednesday to Saturday, whereas this week it's a Tuesday to Sunday. So,
oh yeah, and also I've just looked. He got subbed off at the 45-minute mark in the Champions League. Yeah, I'm confident he'll start. he didn't play the full 90, and
But I do think that Potter is obviously, he is basically the previous days Pep Roulette nowadays. He really does like his rotation because he's got a huge squad which he has to obviously test every player in, and he has to give players game time for that. And even in Brighton, when he was at Brighton, he was known for rotation. So I don't think anyone is nailed in the Chelsea team, but I don't think that's a necessary reason to put you off the main players like a Maddison and a Aubameyang, a Reece James, etc.
Do you mean
Maddison?
Mount?
Sorry, yes, Mount.
Nice. So great.
looking
I
at
like to
Maddison
rotate
on my
guys.
team.
Don't let that put you off James Maddison.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Uh,
So sorry, Vivi. Your question before about who I'm thinking of getting in for Reece James. So there's a
have you
few.
got 2 free transfers or 1?
I have Juan free transfer, and currently only one person on my bench who can play in Ruben Diaz, Liverpool away. So I'm looking for some stronger bench cover than what I have, especially considering rotation.
So could you read through your team for the audio listeners?
There aren't any.
Yeah, but we can't actually see your team at the minute anyway.
I'll just share my team. Why not?
Yeah, show your team.
There we go. Start sharing. And here's the team. So here's the boys. Danny Ward making up the goalkeeper slot for this week. But who knows why. But yeah, so here's the section where it's, Reece James is injured. I've not got a bench at the moment.
wait, I love how you said Reece James is injured like it's a surprise, like it wasn't a topic of conversation.
Yeah, no. So sorry. So yeah, at the moment I actually don't have anyone on my bench, and I have Diaz Liverpool away playing. So I'm gonna make a couple of transfers.
Oh, you're taking a hit.
I'm gonna take a hit this week.
I tell you what, man,
Wow.
I'm such a coward. If the good guys are taking a hit, it almost feels like me less, pressure on if I took a hit. It needs to be a worthwhile hit. I don't.
You're not a coward. You're a sheep.
You are, yeah. You go with the herd.
Well, no, it's just that if the herd's taking a hit, that means my standings in the TGG league, isn't.
Right. So essentially,
Anyway.
what it means is, because 3 of my players, I mean, obviously, because Diaz plays Liverpool away and then he blanks. Fofana is injured for a substantial amount of time, and James is for a substantial period of time. That's 3 defenders that I have out. And I don't really like any of the defenders that are high priced. So if I'm going to look to spend a little bit of money, if I were to downgrade either Diaz or James, I'm going to go up from Archer. So I'm going to look to get a striker with that money that I have left. And that's looking like it's going to be Solanke this week, which actually fits quite nicely because he's got Fulham away. And Fulham, as you pointed out in the last podcast, Baron, have conceded a myriad of XG recently. I think they're by far the worst in the league.
What happened to... Did you never have Mitrovic?
I got rid of him for Archer literally last week.
Why did you do that?
Because I could go up to Zaha from
from who?
From someone. Oh, Leon Bailey.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that transfer made sense at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, yeah, is what it is. So yeah, Archer's going up to Solanke. He's got Fulham away, which is a nice fixture, and then he's got a decent fixture in game week 12 as well, which I can't remember at this moment in time.
Okay.
12?
He's got Fulham next.
Fulham next, and then in game week 12 he's got someone else that I can't remember, but it's not a bad fixture.
Game week 12 he has Southampton.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, so Solanke's decent for the next couple of games. So the question is, BB, I know you're looking to go down from a defender as well. In and around that cheap defender range, there's a few options. The ones that have stuck out for me are Gurhey at Palace, Webster at Brighton, and Johnny at Wolves as well. They're the 3 that intrigue me. What about yourself?
Well, I obviously just mentioned to Dan for him to go for the pairing of Gurhey and Webster. I haven't been tempted by Wolves more because they're a team I'm thinking of targeting. So I've not thought I want to bring in someone from their squad. when I look at them and think that's a good fixture. Whereas I don't really like when my boys are playing a Brighton or a Crystal Palace, which gives me sort of feeling that I'll like to bring in a defender from there.
Yeah. Gahey, I like the look of Gahey.
Yeah, I don't know about Gurhey. I mean, obviously, Palace are the more recent team to keep a clean sheet. But I just look at their fixtures. So obviously Leicester this week, I think Leicester always have a goal in them.
Mm-hmm.
Wolves, that I do like. But then in that same week, Brighton are playing Nottingham Forest. So they're basically equal fixtures. And then, well, for me personally, I don't need this defender after the blank. So I'm happy with Brighton playing Brentford and Nottingham Forest now compared to Crystal Palace playing Leicester and Wolves. It's just a punt for me. It's just a 2-week thing, so I'm not really fussed in my department, but go for it.
Yeah, before Reece James got injured, I only needed this cheap defender as bench backup this week, and then to play them in game week at 12, which is why Webster made more sense because he's got a really good. Was it Forest at home in game week 12? I think.
Yeah.
So that's why he made a bit more sense then. But now Johnny's come to the fore a little bit because he's got Forest at home this week. Wolves have kept 2 clean sheets against the other 2 promoted sides so far this year. And Forest's attacking numbers away from home, they've only scored 1 goal so far. So that renders Johnny quite a good pick for this week in particular. But then in game week 12, I think he got Palace away.
Yeah.
Which isn't as attractive, but it's not terrible.
Not terrible. It depends, I guess, what route their management goes down. We've not really seen much of them. Will they be an attacking side? Will they be a defensive side? Whatever. I think all 3 of those options are decent options. They're all around the same price. They're all whatever. I would say, obviously, the Webster versus Dunk debate, if people have it, Webster has been putting up more XG and XA than Dunk has recently. So that's the only reason I'm going for Webster. He's also turning into a bit of a bonus magnet with a better baseline BPS. That's the reason I'm going Webster over Dunk.
And Webster's points tally is slightly affected by the own goal that he got recently too, which would negatively affect him. And as well, I remember when I had Gross, when Gross swung in a free kick and Webster had a header right in front of the goal, which he stuck wide somehow. If he'd have bagged that, his points tally would be a lot more attractive. So, I quite like Webster.
What do you think about Estupiñán? You used to previously own him.
I did own him, and the reason why I stopped owning him or regretted that I did ever own him is because he didn't get enough minutes.
That was under Potter, though.
True. This new manager gave him 66 minutes in his first game, which isn't particularly encouraging for his future. I mean, you never know. He could continue to get 66 minutes, which is actually perfect because he more like to get those clean sheet points. I can see 45 minutes subs off. I can see benchings. I'd rather have someone who plays the 90.
What do you think about instead of Gurhey spending 0.2 mil more and getting Anderson?
I don't see much value in the extra 0.2
because of more kind of attacking threat.
I'm a fan of Anderson. I am a fan of Anderson, which is why I would debate making that extra point to him.
Yeah, I mean, you should be a fan of Anderson, considering I'm bringing it up because I remember reading your Instagram post on the FPL Good Guys Instagram, might I add, about his diagonals. And to be fair, he usually gets some assists, a goal here and there in prior seasons. And I've just got that kind of sentence in my head from those spraying balls to Zaha, as you noted about.
Well, I've got the eye test from that Crystal Palace Leeds game where Anderson and Gurhey both played. In terms of attacking threat, Anderson was getting on the end of more stuff than Gurhey did. Whereas you'd sort of maybe put Gurhey more down as that corner threat, but it was actually Anderson on this occasion anyway. And again, because it was Anderson's first game for a little while, when he came in and he collected the ball, and the first thing he was looking to do every time was find that Zaha diagonal. And the reason it didn't work so much in this game is because, like I said, Christensen was absolutely sticking to Zaha, and he was barely involved in the game for the first half and large portions of the second as well. So if a team doesn't, take this tactic and decides to defend against Palace in a different way than just put someone on Zaha, then those Anderson diagonals might start to come through. So he might turn out worth the extra point too.
I still prefer Gurhey. I feel like they're both centre backs for Crystal Palace. Neither of them are massively. They're not. It's not a debate between a centre back and a full back or something. And obviously Anderson is nailed in the Denmark team, and I do fear that at one point there will be, if you maybe need this defender come the end of this stretch up until the World Cup. I know that Anderson had a slight niggle a while back, so there might be some sort of minute management as you get closer towards the World Cup. Whereas Gurhey, on the other hand, is actually on the fringe of that England squad, and might be putting in extra effort in performances to get nailed in the Gareth Southgate squad. So I'd actually put Anderson below Gurhey, even if they were the same price.
Yeah, to be fair, that injury is a decent shot. I mean, he did literally come back for the first time in a little while against Leeds, so yeah, there's a chance he gets rested. So Gurhey for 4.3, fine.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd like to just get up my FPL and share my team, because one thing I'm thinking about is the fact that it's not actually, in my case, is cutting. I'd like to get your boys' opinion actually looking at my team, because I don't actually think it's as...
Could we come back to your team after my team? I'm just conscious of time.
That makes sense.
Oh, we've got to do the...
For just to explain to the viewers, BV has to... he's got duties and responsibilities, so he has to go at 7. That's why.
At 7 means nothing to them. He's got to go in 13 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Oh shit, yeah. Fair play. I forgot we weren't live streaming for one, because obviously we need to get back on the horse. But clearly not this week.
Right. Joe, do you want to get my team up actually on? If you go to the Good Guy League and click on my team, then you just share screen.
Well, discuss what you can discuss for now.
Okay. So this week, my original plan, as I said, was to bring in Webster this week for Emerson, the West Ham defender, Emerson Palmieri. I will need someone to play for me in Gameweek 12. So it would probably be Emerson. And it also helps me the fact that if Reece James is out, I don't really want to play Fabian Schär. I can't play Emerson because he doesn't play, he doesn't start, he just gets the odd minute or two, which I was fine with for Game Week 12 because 4-0, 1 point, what's the difference? So I was fine with me, but I feel like now Reece James is out, I may as well use the transfer. I've got 2 free transfers, so I'll bring in Webster this week, roll the other one into next week, where then I currently plan on selling De Bruyne. So I'll sell De Bruyne in the blank. I will bench Martinelli, Cancelo and Haaland. And I will use my transfer just on De Bruyne to Trossard and play whoever I have, hoping that Reece James is back for Game Week 12. Otherwise, I have another free transfer to use on Reece James. And if all goes to plan there, then the next week I would have 6.5 mil in the bank and 2 free transfers. So I'd just load back up on City and Arsenal. I'd just get Jesus and Foden or whatever I want to do from there.
Yes, 6.5 mil in the bank and 2 free transfers is a fairly good position to be in. So yeah, no, I'm sure that's a platform for some good things.
So yeah, that is my transfer plans for this and the future weeks.
Nice.
Would you are you looking to buy De Bruyne back after the blank?
So I'm looking. I will obviously have triple City. The question there is whether I go for a Foden instead of a De Bruyne, and instead I would then have literally like 6 mil to.
I have concerns over going Foden over De Bruyne. I know that Foden's currently the highest scoring kind of midfielder, and I do like Foden. Let's not, take the piss here. I like Foden. But I do think that we will get some regression back to the mean with Foden. I think he's been particularly explosive. And granted, he is quite a bit cheaper than De Bruyne. However, I think of De Bruyne also very much, obviously, a key cog in Pep's system. But I think his assists, you'd expect that to just continue. And then his goals, if anything, pick up. And then De Bruyne potentially even over some of these easier fixtures. Like when we look at the run of Leicester, Fulham, Brentford, and what have you, you could easily see De Bruyne finally getting a couple goals.
Yeah. I'm not saying that De Bruyne is the better shout there. I mean, if they were both the same price, I'd obviously go De Bruyne. But I don't know if he's worth $5 extra million, where I can use that 5 million to go Foden, to go Jesus, to go up from Webster to anyone. It's just like my actual, I don't know if points maximization of my squad is worth investing the 6 mil right back into De Bruyne, where I can spread that 6 mil across my squad.
I know definitely for myself, a lot of my sort of pre-existing thoughts around Foden, him as an FPL asset, it's shrouded by rotation and him maybe not playing, but this season he is playing.
He plays.
So, I mean, I've not looked at it, but I imagine at the rate of point scoring that he's on for a cracking, like in and around 200 point, maybe a bit less season.
He's not getting that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think playing every game.
Nah. No, because I do think there is going to be some regression back to the mean.
But Dan, he's playing in a front three. He's playing every game. He never did that last season.
Foden gets like 135 points last season, and he probably played 2/3 of the minutes than he's playing like this season, which would suggest a growth to 200 points a season.
I reckon he's going to get around 165, 170, maybe 175. I reckon around 175 points, which is still 25 points.
It's not a great leap up to 200 from 175.
It's 25.
Okay, but I don't think I feel like I'd like to see how Foden does against Liverpool. I'm going to use this as a scouting opportunity. And yeah, I just think the only threat there is the fact that maybe but the thing is he's got his spot nailed. I don't really see rotation there. It's just where Pep actually uses him. I think Foden is stronger when he's playing with Grealish, because Grealish doesn't hog as much as the attacking threat in terms of shots and stuff like that, whereas Mahrez, when Foden plays off the left with Mahrez takes more of the attacking stride there. And even when he's playing up with Bernardo Silva, there's different styles to Pep's play. It's not always the same opponent, same style. It's different opponent, different style. So I can't really comment on how I think any City player will do. I'll just take the roll of the dice on Foden, I think.
And he likes playing against Liverpool as well.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm not bringing him in this week, so it doesn't matter to me.
I've not looked at it, to be fair.
Why does he like playing against Liverpool?
Well, I'm not. I don't know his emotions. But I
I meant why, comma. No, I said why. I meant why, comma. Does he like playing against Liverpool?
I think he's just a bit of a big game player at times. I feel like weirdly you don't really see him all in the smaller games. Whereas obviously his big hold, the hat trick, was against United in that derby, and I feel like in these games where Pep, I don't know, has to sort of defend more with the midfield and not go full gung-ho, it sort of suits Foden's style of play because he's given more freedom to attack.
To be fair, I will actually say something because I remember some random statistic which actually, funnily enough, comes in handy. Foden has a good record against Brighton, and he plays Brighton at home in Gameweek 13. Because I remember when I played Foden towards the back end of last season, and he had a game against Brighton, which I had him in for anyway. I actually looked at his statistics, or saw someone on One Football, and it was saying about match stats. Foden has a very good scoring record in this game, and then he actually bagged a goal for me against Brighton. Now, obviously, records he might not keep the same, but statistically, he does quite well against Brighton.
Well, should we move on to our punts of the game weeks? And then I've only got 6 more minutes until 7 p.m.
I'm still sharing my screen.
Yeah. And then Yeah. And then after that, we can just have a quick. I want to just revisit some of my squad on actual getting up my team, but we'll do that after BB goes because he won't have time. But yeah,
Nice.
Let's go on to the punts.
Right. Well, I personally have someone in mind. Do you two have someone?
Yeah. I have someone nailed in my mind.
You guys go first.
Okay, Dan, you go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going with Mount. Because also it's actually seems strategic too, in the sense that
nice. Well done.
There's exploration. In the sense that because we have the rule, I mean, there seems so many rules. Like, honestly, the amount of rules jizzed into this game is unreal. But we have a rule where you can only play one player once per season.
That's the only rule.
Oh, and they have to be under the amount.
But there's two rules.
Where because you can only play one player once per season, Mount, I feel like I can bank on with the statistics, and he's played 45 minutes in the Champions League. Villa at home, like they don't necessarily
it's Villa away.
Goals. Villa away, sorry. Like Villa, not that they necessarily leak loads of goals, but they're not like iron opposition. I just think with these statistics, with the purple patch potentially on the horizon, and yeah, backing up the reason why I want to bring him in too, I think he's good on the money. Surprisingly, I don't actually think he'll get non-premium king of the game week, but I think I can bank on like a goal or a return more than I can.
Nice. Joe?
I'm going to go for Dominic Solanke this week. Reason why he's playing Fulham away, which I think is the best attacking fixture in the league at the moment. Solanke got a couple of assists in his last game, and Bournemouth are playing pretty well. And the XG that they're registering isn't particularly attractive, but if something's coming from Bournemouth, it's probably coming from Solanke. And like I say, Fulham are really bad in defence, so I think he's likely to do something this week. So Solanke it is.
I do back Solanke because Fulham are the worst defence in the league. Only thing is, I'd say the best fixture you could play right now would be Fulham at home rather than Fulham away. They're pretty nice at Craven Cottage.
True.
But I'm debating between Martin Odegaard because I quite like Arsenal's form right now, and they obviously don't play Europe and they'll put out a full team. I'm also debating going for a road shout and going for a City player because Liverpool have been dire recently. So I could go for Foden that we spoke about. I could also go for Aubameyang because I really like Aubameyang's form. Obviously scored in, I think it's 3 successive games now, or maybe 4, in all the games he started under Potter. And he's just banging them in. But out of all of those, I reckon I'll go for. I'll go Aubameyang.
How much is Aubameyang?
Oh,
yeah, he's not 10. I think he's 9.
9. I think. But I do worry that obviously without Reece James, we will set up differently, and there could be some flaws in the Chelsea attack. But we'll get to that. It's a punt.
Nice. That's the wrong colour.
Cool. Oh, I've got 2 minutes to spare. Joe, you know you can just copy the colour from the cell above. But anyway.
Yeah.
Let me just fill my boxes, man. All right, this isn't necessary.
So, where are you off to, BV?
I've got some. I'm in charge of a bench ball society at my university, and we're getting sponsored by a local institute of alcohol. And I need to sign the contract. So I need to be there at 8 p.m. and I'm currently on campus and far away. So want to get the bus and sort myself out before that.
That's fun.
Oh. Yeah.
Good stuff. Have an excellent time.
I probably still do have 10 minutes of time, so I'll stay for this.
Well, I guess we'll just carry on.
Right. Are you still? You taking a while to fill those boxes?
I'm not. I'm just listening to you now. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Fuck it. I'll do it before I've even opened the tab. I don't care. Start sharing. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
I can indeed.
Lovely. Now let's search.
Oh, you've got to search.
Why have you done this?
Because oh, it's not like on my phone where it automatically come up. But hope. One sec.
Jesus, man. Yep, show us your email. Go on.
You can see I'm applying some graduate.
Oh, you've got. Oh my god, this is the worst podcast.
It was going so well until this moment.
I mean, where else would you see this? The green arrow, you know, logging into the.
Oh, yeah. You make a good point. Oh, that's unattractive. There's is my team.
I could have pulled that up.
And if we look at it, so I want to. Oh, what I'm actually gonna do. See, when we had OBS fully cracking, there was obviously a cool format for this. I want to go on to transfers because if I want to select a replacement for Gordon, which I do, and I've already decided I want that person to be Mount. Search, select, add player. I've got my 2 million debt, and I've got my decisions. So first of all,
you've not got Zaha. You're going Mount over Zaha.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
Zaha is on my watch list if I can potentially afford him for a couple of game weeks time. It depends what route I take. Mitrovic, do you reckon he'll be playing this week? Oh,
Yeah.
I actually think it's unknown, but he should be. I want to say.
Yeah, he's
I
looking
think
like.
yeah, be all right.
So James is going to be out by the looks of it. I
think you're tripled up on Fulham attack.
Yeah, well, Andreas is the kind of 4.5 million bench option. Deckard over Reed, someone I have at the minute. And to be fair, because Andreas probably will stay on my bench, I may as well keep him for like 4 game weeks. I mean, he's hardly a fire to put out by the looks of it. I guess, yeah, I do kind of need to sell James. So realistically, if I knew,
there's some echo in the background of someone. I don't know.
I think it's me. I'm near Filed Bar and something's kicking off.
The kids have just gone out for playtime.
Yeah, see, Patterson's not bad, but obviously he doesn't help me at all in game week 12. So that's obviously. But saying that, because I'd want to keep obviously Haaland, Cancelo. I mean, ideally, I'd have to take hits if I wanted to sell some of these boys anyway. And one thing I have thought about is in game week 12, it means I don't have to play Dean Henderson away at Brighton or Neco Williams away at Brighton, where they'll probably do shit.
So just a side and Neco Williams got benched in the last game. Just something to consider.
Yeah. Serge Aurier might be taking his space. He's played 45 and then 12.
Yeah, so then he might not even play against Brighton. Currently, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with James. 6 players who wouldn't play. Henderson, I'd relish. Oh, that's just.
But to think towards the start of the season, Henderson got a 14-pointer against Spurs.
9 points. He got a 14-pointer against West Ham.
Oh, 14 against West Ham. So, that was such a bullshit game.
Yeah, but in reality, he's paid for it. That could have been a clean sheet.
Dan, I will be bringing in Trossard and captaining him against Henderson.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If I was free hitting, I was actually thinking when I look at the the games for game
You
12.
think to target your goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, if I was thinking as I was free hitting, I'd get out Henderson, and finally I can target my keeper.
You'd
I
be the
can just
first
still
person
free.
off the team sheet.
I'm like thinking, well, if I was free hitting, I'm like, okay, I could load up on potentially Brighton. I earmarked Brighton.
I would love it if you free hit it and Nando got a clean sheet.
To be fair, if I just loaded up against him and then he clean sheeted, yeah, I think that'd be hard to emotionally recover from. And you'd potentially even bring in like a Solanke, or whoever the fuck. But yeah, maybe that would be a red herring because I don't typically do well when I do something like wholesale changes. In the past, sometimes I have really burnt myself with that. So realistically, because I could then sell De Bruyne. Obviously, Liverpool away isn't necessarily the best fixture, even though Liverpool aren't playing great. And then so I could buy. So what, BV? You don't reckon that Anderson's worth the extra 0.2 over Gahey, and you think that he might be, Joe?
I'll just give my view because I'm going to go very quickly, imminently actually. I don't think he's worth it. I think, Dan, if I was in this situation and you really want Mount, I would sell Reece James, I would get a Gurhey, and then I'd sell Fabian Schär or something. I don't really like Newcastle's defensive prospects.
What, you wouldn't sell De Bruyne?
I thought you were against. You went on about how you were against selling.
Yeah,
De Bruyne.
I am against it, but then obviously get him back. But if I was free hitting, if I wasn't free hitting, then clearly I can't keep Cancelo, Martinelli, Haaland, and De Bruyne.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I mean, also you don't have to as in you've got to think if you're going to take him out and then you're going to want to bring him back in, it might be costing you 4 points technically. Even though it might not actually cost you 4 points, it's still a transfer used actually. That if the person you're bringing in is going to actually you really back them. But as in if you're still going to be playing some deadweight fodder or something that's only going to get a few points, there's no point of it, in my opinion. But yeah, that's just something to think about. I'm going to head. Good luck with the rest of the pod, guys. Bye.
See ya.
See you later, baby.
So, what is your Joe? Are you there? Obviously, I take it.
I am here. Yeah.
Cool. So, in your professional opinion, if you were to kind of diagnose in my team, I'd actually be intrigued. What would you do, given the precursor that Mount is a given? He's in. What would you actually do? Because I'm actually open to suggestions. So currently, I'll restore that. Mount. So I'm 2 million in debt. 1 free transfer. What would you do?
Is Anthony Gordon just suspended for this next game and then back for game week 12?
Yeah, but assuming that I want him.
Well, let's just humour me. What's Gordon's game in game week 12?
Newcastle away, so not great to be honest with you.
It's not the worst offensive fixture, but all right. Well,
then you have Pope.
Well, yeah, and he's doing shit. They're conceding goals.
Yeah.
No, I mean, fair enough. I mean, you've got Deco. I was just thinking maybe you could go down from De Bruyne to Mount and bring De Bruyne back in at a later date. But now, let's say you get rid of Gordon for Mount. Why not? Let's do that transfer because that seems quite proactive.
Well, yeah, and currently Gordon is in my starting 11. So, yeah, it's kind of also a fire, low-key, as well as something I wanted to do. So I'm okay with
Fair
that.
enough. Right, okay. So then what you're left with going into game week 12, if you kept everything the same now, is to have Haaland, De Bruyne, Cancelo, Martinelli. So they're all definitely not going to play. And then you've got Neco Williams, who might get either 0 or 1. But I mean, he's going to stay, to be fair. So, yeah, you've got to look to get rid of one of those guys. Now, Martinelli, you've got a lot of money locked up in, so it's not going to be him. Cancelo is a really good asset, which I don't think you should look to move on and bring back. Because again, you've got some money locked up in him. I think getting rid of De Bruyne is going to be your move. Because, go on.
Do you reckon then I get rid of James and De Bruyne and take a hit, or just get rid of De Bruyne?
I think you can make one of those transfers going into game week 12. So maybe just get rid of. You could move De Bruyne on now and then do the James transfer going into game week 12.
What, and have a back three of Cancelo, Trippier, and Schär?
Yeah, I mean if you think, that doesn't look great now, but if you think of it in terms of game week 12, you're going to get more players that way by getting rid of De Bruyne.
Well, yeah, I guess too, on a real thinking about it, hold on. If I was to take a hit, that's like the replacement. A back three isn't too bad of doubling up on Trippier or Schär, because even if I got someone who got 6 points, I've avoided a hit by just getting rid of De Bruyne.
Yeah, and as well, yeah, and you can't get rid of Reece James so the 2 mil. You can only get someone at 4.1.
And really I have just the guy, and I'm sure obviously you'd back this up. I have just the guy who I'd.
Zaha, and there you go, and that's quite a nice lineup. And I think you're well prepped for game week 12 if you move on Reece James. Yeah, because you'll have Mitrovic and Kane up front, midfield 5 if you need it, a back 4 if you need it, because you'll get rid of James and a goalkeeper. So yeah, you'll actually have someone for the bench.
Which can be Neco Williams.
Which will be Neco Williams. There you go. Oh wait, no. Neco Williams is already on the bench. You'll have Neco. Oh no, sorry, yeah, my bad. Neco Williams, Cancelo, and Haaland will make up your bench, and then you'll have a flat 11.
And Villa at home isn't the worst fixture.
Yeah, and you'll have your Fulham. Both your Fulham boys will play.
All 3.
All 3 of your Fulham
Which
play.
is quite
Goodness me.
Better than no one.
Yeah. No, I think that'll leave you quite well lined up. So I think if you're adamant on bringing in Mount, I think they're 2 quite nice transfers.
Well, yeah, and the good thing about this is it's not taking a hit, and I actually think even in a vacuum, if we kiss goodbye to the free hit and say that it's a little impulsive and it's not really the play, considering that it'll be more valuable down the line, we've already established that De Bruyne, even if I like him and potentially want to get him back, he's realistically got to go because of the reasons with the other players. Even in a vacuum, Zaha instead of De Bruyne, Leicester away or Liverpool away, Zaha could haul realistically. Leicester away, he could actually score a brace or something, I reckon, or a goal and an assist. He could do well.
Mm-hmm. And then you've got him for the fixtures after that as well, which is strong.
Yeah. And even though, for example, I couldn't have just sold James anyway because I'd have had to gone past and I couldn't afford an appropriate replacement. And then even if we say that I've doubled up on Newcastle away at Man United, even if we were to say that ideally you wouldn't want to double up, even if I was to have taken a hit, that means that the replacement would have to get 6 just to do the same as a blank. And, Shaw could get another attacking return.
And as well, I think a good reason to play both Shaw and Trippier is that I'm not playing Pope.
Yes.
Which means that Newcastle are about twice as likely to get a clean sheet. That might be a bit of an underestimate, but I've come to twice as likely. So yeah, no, and like you say, Shaw likes an attacking return, so it's making sure you've got people on the pitch in both this week and next week.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't need. This is highly likely what I'll do. I guess I don't need to make transfers now.
Yeah, just wait until I don't know if there's more. Is there more European action tonight as well as tomorrow? Maybe just hold off.
Yeah, but yes, and that's really helped clear my conundrum because it's got the main thing I wanted, Mount, and yeah, I like that because now I've kind of veered away. Because at one point I was thinking of selling Kane and going with Jesus and basically gluing myself to a free hit, and I probably will get rid of Kane at some point. But even looking at the fixtures, Everton at home. I mean, a player in good form like Kane, is Everton at home the time to get rid?
I
Probably
don't.
not.
I really don't think it's a good idea to get rid of Kane, even if he had pretty bad fixtures. I mean, he's returned like 10 weeks in a row or something ridiculous.
Yeah, he's on good form.
So
Like the premium, to be fair, 10-6-7 from Kane, because I've had the premium 3 weeks, 6-23-6, and
De Bruyne, he's returned well. We don't have to bring it. Oh, he's back.
10-8-6.
Oh, goodness me. I mean, that couldn't have gone much better. You've not got a single blank in 3 games from 3 players. Some would call that fortunate.
Well,
whilst my Sterling has got a 2-pointer and then wasn't played in the last game.
And in the last 3 weeks, when I made the wildcard, when I wildcarded the 2-hour wildcard for the viewers, as I actually did it, basically made my decisions on that live stream. I went from 1.469 mil to then 585k to then a green arrow to 538k to then 467k. It's my rank's gone up by over a mil since then.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the impulsivity of Dan. It works quite a lot of the time. I feel like when you overplan, I feel like things go wrong. Like when you did the wild card, the infamous wild card a couple of seasons back, where you brought in Pulisic and Chris Wood, and they just did absolutely nothing for you. You ended up quitting the game.
Oh yeah.
I think impulsivity might be the way to strike. So
yeah, and I like this.
Some might call it, more planning for the podcast. And you crafted it during the stream. I'm not sure many other FPL creators would do the same, but
yeah.
Nice. So yeah, looking ahead to this next game week, I wish my team was slightly better set up. I mean, do you want to stop sharing your screen, Dan?
I'm really trying my best. Oh, never mind. I'm a twat. Yeah, that's what we do.
You click there.
There we go.
Yeah, so looking ahead to game week 11 and then game week 12, I think I'm not particularly excited by many of the fixtures in terms of FPL assets. I feel like I'm riding through these a little bit. Especially game week 12, I'm just putting people on the pitch for the sake of it, which I know.
Which assets are you feeling the most lukewarm or either a bit kind of about?
Let's think. Who am I playing? So for example, Andreas Pereira, he's just going to be meh, but he's going to start these next 2 games for me. Miguel Almiron's got United away this game, and then can't remember.
I love how both assets you've suggested are players that, to be fair, luckily Pereira came off the bench for you when he got the point. Yeah. Unfortunately, the same couldn't be said for the juicier return from Almiron.
Oh, he got a 7-pointer, so that's great. So he started for me. Wait, is that what you mean?
No, I mean the time he was on your bench.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was agonising. The 15 pointer from the fucking tiny Paraguayan man that is Miguel Almiron.
The bitch of it is, with a player like that who's only 5.5 mil, you know that a 5.0.
He's 5.0.
You know that a 5 million midfielder doesn't have 15-point horse to spare. Chances are that's the golden egg that the goose is laid for the whole season. It's not like a De Bruyne or like a Haaland where it's just effective ownership wise, that's a bad analogy, but it's like if a fucking Sterling, for example, produces a 15-point haul, you might think, okay, he is Raheem Sterling, he might get a few more if I get on this bandwagon. You just know that an Almiron, once he's kind of used his 15-point haul, he's not going to conjure.
People are sleeping on Almiron, in my opinion. I mean, if you think about his pre-season, he had an excellent pre-season. It's a long time ago, but I mean, it shows that he's got numerous goals and assists in his legs. He's got a goal in his last game and 2 goals in the game before that. And he looks pretty confident. I mean, he also forced a really great save from David Raya in that Brentford game. We're just flashing back to game week 1. I put him as one of my differentials.
Yeah, I remember that when you're on the Good Guys FPL Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about pre-season, the big performers, the only one to not really fit to live up to the bill was Leon Bailey. Because Rodrigo absolutely smashed it from the start and he had a great pre-season. We got Almiron, who had a wonderful pre-season. Gabriel Jesus had a really great pre-season. So it's more indicative than I thought it might be of it's a better predictor of success than I thought.
Oh yeah. It's like last season. Ben Rama had a good pre-season last season, and he got 2 double-digit hauls on game weeks 1 and 2 of last season.
Yeah, so I'll definitely note that going into next season, that pre-season games.
You hear that, viewers? Next season, pay attention to the pre-season.
Stick around.
yeah. Stick around for a year's time.
Yeah. Put it in your diaries. The good guys will be covering pre-season.
Yeah, we'll be here with our potentially 13 subs by then.
Almiron I think could be quite good. I mean, United away, it's not the worst defensive fixture, but I don't know. I felt like there's just a lot of mehness. Zaha's quite good, but a lot of people own him. Maddison might be pretty good, but a lot of the engaged player base have him.
Maddison's quite an explosive player, isn't he? Because he seems to go through patches of overperforming his XG. Maybe it's just because he's a good player, but like when I feel like when Maddison gets points, he really explodes. Like I feel like that 18-point haul is so Maddison. It's so some shit as a Henderson owner. It could have played Ward. I could have played Ward. But yeah, I feel like that's what Maddison does. He explodes and then he goes a bit quiet and then he explodes.
And the players might be a bit deflated after that Bournemouth loss from last week, perhaps. Something to consider, especially because Leicester had just come off the back of that Forest 4-0 smashing. And thinking, right, maybe we've turned the corner, and then they took.
And they're below them in the table. Doesn't seem fair.
They're just not doing very, very well, Leicester. So I mean, Maddison's obviously a decent option. I'm glad I've got him. But yeah, we'll see.
What do you think about United as a fixture if your players are against United? Because they seem to have put together some good performances, but then they have still put together some real bad performances this season.
We might be looking a bit too much into that City game. If we take that City game out of the equation, there were 4 wins on the bounce, I think, right?
They've because they had a couple bad results at the start of the season, but they do seem to have turned it around. Do you believe in the Ten Hag project? Do you think that they're just now going to be just good again?
I think they're gonna have a decent season. I mean, that then simply not on the level of like Man City and Arsenal. They beat Arsenal, but they're not as good as them.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make much sense when you say it like that.
Give a context. What a load of aids. If you're just a team, it's like, yeah, they beat Arsenal. They're not as good as them. Audacious.
But if you see the way that they play against other teams, that aren't each other.
Yeah. This is like, imagine in a highly competitive sport. No. Don't look at the head-to-head. That's
it's like boxing. Like if you watch a boxing fight, like, oh, look at the way Anthony Joshua beat these people, and then he gets Usyk, and it's he's definitely better than Usyk.
Or just Tyson Fury versus like Klitschko when he beat him the second time. It's like no, Klitschko's still better. Don't look at the head-to-head.
But I mean, it is actually true that Arsenal are better than Manchester United.
Yeah, they actually are.
Man United had the goods on them on that day in particular. But no, where were we going with this? Oh yeah, but Man United, they're not on that level, but they'll probably they'll win most of their games that they have. They'll win games more than they'll draw games or they'll lose games. You know what I mean?
I've got an interesting question. If you had to pick, say, one team who you think is going to have a upturn in fortunes, maybe have been getting a bit unlucky, it could even be defence-wise or attack, which team do you reckon is going to have an upturn? And then which team do you reckon has been riding their luck a little too much? Could either be, again, attack or defence, and is going to plummet a bit? Feel like you've watched a few games too.
I have watched a few games. I mean, West Ham have won their last 2. They've got. Who are they playing this week? Goodness me. I really should know the fixtures.
Well, if you get a good answer to this could actually be a clip it for the TikTok.
Well, I mean, this definitely isn't a clip at the moment. Hang on,
That's why.
Let me do it. Hang on.
Momentarily, I was refraining from saying that because I'm like, oh, I don't want the clip up the TikTok today. Maybe this is going on the TikTok. But then once you started fumbling the bag, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to make the cut.
That's all right. I'll get a good sequence in a second. Hang on. Let me just get their next fixture up, and then I'll flow it all out. And it'll.
To be fair, yeah, the good news is it's at the end of the podcast. No one's watching this. It's only for the TikTok clip at this point.
Yeah, so true. We had one viewer of our last one. There's no way they made it this far.
Yeah, that was probably Baron.
We actually had no views.
Yeah, and Phoebe said about promoting it the day after. It's like we were all like, "This is our best shit," and then Phoebe was like, we need to promote this, and then yeah, even by our standards, it couldn't have done worse.
Right. Okay. Are you ready for a clip?
Yeah, I'm ready for a clip.
Okay. Okay. So what I think about West Ham players as assets, or just like their team as a whole. I mean, over the last two, they've obviously got 2 good wins in their last 2 games. They beat Wolves especially comfortably. So looking ahead, they've got Southampton at home in their next one. Then they've got Liverpool away in the blank game week 12, and then Bournemouth the week after. I think we'll continue to see a turnaround from them, and Skamaka and Bowen will continue to be strong assets. That Liverpool game especially, I just feel like Liverpool just looking a little bit, not themselves. Simicast at left back against Bowen on the right wing, I think could be really quite nice. Liverpool are also missing Matip and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So yeah, I think West Ham attackers especially could be really quite exciting.
Was it a West Ham attacker that you went for your non-premium king of the game week?
No, you and BV both did last week. Oh no, for this week. No,
this week.
I went for Solanke.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, West Ham wouldn't have minded going for a West Ham player, but I didn't. What can I say? I went for Solanke.
Yeah. Oh, should we just play the outro then? Or is there anything you've got left to say? Yeah, I'll just find the outro. Again, usually most podcasts would probably just then play the outro.
It's fine. No one's made it this far.
Yeah.
But we'll do it for the culture.
Yeah. We're just looking for the outro. What's this? Oh, that's just a voice note I fucking sent into the chat. No one wants to hear that. Oh yeah, I've got to look for the little music icon.
There we go.
See that.
You ready? Thanks for watching.
Yeah, see ya.